Hi, I wanted to talk about the 120 wide pinhole camera from Holga. So before talking about this camera, it's probably worth talking about what is pinhole photography in general. And pinhole basically means there is no lens. So you have a light-proof container and a very small hole, typically made with a pin, hence the name. And that's it. The really small hole acts as your lens. So you might have heard of something like camera obscura, and when light goes through a very small opening into a light-proof room or a container, light from the outside is projected inside. It's inverted, but the color and perspective is the same. So this is, the basis for photography. So it's actually really pretty neat. You just take a box, like a shoebox or a coffee can, you make a little hole, typically into something like aluminum foil, and put some film in there, and that's your camera, and you just go out and shoot. The holes are very, very small, so your aperture is very, very small. Like on this camera, I think it's labeled as f1.35. So that really means two things. Your depth of field is huge, so everything is in focus, and also you need a lot of light to make an image. So you're going to want a tripod, you need a tripod, and even in bright daylight, you're talking about a couple seconds for an exposure, probably all the way up to minutes or 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes, depending on the available light and the film speed you're using. So it's really pretty fun. You can get a lot of interesting images, and if you search on Flickr for a pinhole, you'll see a lot of great photos. And so you might be wondering, with such a simple mechanism, why do I need a camera like this? I can just make a box with a hole in it, and that's my camera. And that is true, and I definitely encourage you to do that. I think that's a big part of the appeal of pinhole photography, is the whole DIY part of it, that you can get really creative with the materials you're using, how you're building your camera, how the film is laid out. Maybe you don't want to have a flat surface on the film, maybe you want the film on a curved surface, and see how that affects your image. All kinds of things you can do, not just with film, but you can use photographic paper directly, or you can use instant film. And so I would definitely encourage you to do that. I think it's a great way to take your photography into a whole different place. Making your own tools is always very cool. That said, there are some good things about this camera. So the reason I got this, I was interested in trying out pinhole. I never had before, and I thought it's an easy way to get started. It's already built. It uses roll film, so that's very nice. So I can put a roll 120 film. You can load it outside in the daylight. You can shoot the film. You can unload it in the daylight and put another roll in. It's very easy to use, and it has a bunch of nice features, which I'll talk about. Lens cap, just a little piece of plastic, kind of silly since there is no lens, but actually it is nice because if you have this in your bag and you accidentally hit the shutter, if the lens cap is on, at least you're not exposing the film when you don't mean to. So that's great. Again, you can see f1.35 is what the aperture is rated at. So shutter button, pretty simple mechanism. Just opens this, and you probably can't see, but there's a very, very small hole, very small, and that's the lens. On the end of the shutter is a nice screw for using a cable release, which is great. Again, you're going to want to have a tripod for this, so that's a very nice addition. Of course, it has a tripod mount, which is great. I think I mentioned it uses 120 roll film, so just the roll. Nice thing is this only goes the right way. You can't go backwards, which is great. It's also labeled which way is the right way, but it's nice that it's foolproof. It has a little bit of kind of guide markers for what's in your field of view, which is almost everything, because this is, again, it's a wide camera. So what does that mean, wide? Well, it shoots really big negatives. So typical 120 medium format negative size is going to be 6x6 or 645. There's other sizes, but so this shoots wide. So it shoots 6x12 and 6x9. So double 6x6 or double 6x9. So it's really big. So you get these really nice big negatives, which I'll show in a minute. Other features: bubble level, which I haven't really used. Just some simple clips to hold the film back on. Let's see if I can get this off. It's a little sticky. And there are two different frames, so it has these frames for the film. So depending on what you're using, 6x9 or 6x12, I think this is a 6x9 one. you put in the right frame so the film is blocked off the right spot. And then there's also a selector here, so you're looking at the right numbers on the back of the film. 120 film has different markings on the back for typical film sizes. And so if you're using 6x6 or 6x12 or 6x9, you would select the right part on here, and then you're looking at the right sort of numbers for where to roll. And since this is wide, you end up shooting every other frame, so you only shoot the odd frame. So I put the film in, select the right size, depending on which frame I put in, roll the film till I get to frame 1, expose, and then my next frame I would skip 2 and go to frame 3. You want to make sure to do that, otherwise you're going to have overlapping frames. That's really it. It's really easy to use. It's a really easy to use, great camera. It seems pretty good quality. I mean, just plastic. These little clips seem a little flaky. Like this one of mine is already kind of falling off, which is not great. But otherwise, it's a decent camera. So let's talk a little bit more about. I want to show you some of the negatives and maybe some close-ups of the camera. So again, this shoots either 6x12 or 6x9 negatives, which is really, really cool. Nice big negatives. I got some examples, and I'll do maybe use the light table later. But let's see. Here's some black and white negatives of some larger. So this is the 6x12, and you can see there is some vignetting here. Here's the smaller 6x9 size. Still really, really nice and big, and you can see there's almost no vignetting here for these frames, so that's nice. Here's some, these aren't really exposed so great, but I did want to show some slide film, so color positive film. And if you've never shot this before, again, Pinhole is a great time to do this. You get these really nice color positive negatives, so you can actually see what you're looking at, and it's great. Here's maybe a better example that this wasn't shot with that camera, but you can kind of see, how nice these look, color positive. It's almost, you don't even need to really print it. You can see what it is right there. I was gonna say on the negative, but it's not a negative, it's a positive. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about, show some close-ups of the camera. So again, here's the shutter. I don't know if you'll be able to see the pinhole. Very small. I probably can't focus that close enough. Again, shutter with the cable release screw in there, tripod socket, and so here's the selector I was talking about. So it's a little confusing. You can see the numbers here. There's 16 and 12, and so if you were shooting 6x45, you would use 16, and if you were shooting 6x12, you use 12, but you don't actually get 16 or 12 shots because remember you're shooting double frames. So for the smaller size, 6x9, you're only getting 8 shots, and for 6x12, you're getting 6 shots. Remember, you load the film, and in this red counter, you'll see the number, and you want to make sure that you move this to the right depending on which insert you put into the camera for the frame. It's just like any other 120 camera. So I did want to quickly run through and show a couple of the scan negatives just so you can get a better idea of what the images might look like. This one is 6x12. You can see there's some vignetting there, and again, nice long exposure, so you see the water. The focus is a little soft, and that might just be the pinhole is not as clean as it could be. Another image, I think both these black and white images were Delta 100 or Delta 50, something like that. And a couple color images here. I think these are the Fuji, I think the Velvia. Some great colors there. Okay, so maybe final thoughts on this camera. I think it's a great camera to have, pretty sturdy plastic, really easy to use. Get those nice big 6x9 or 6x12 negatives, which are great. It's got a lot of nice features like the cable release, the tripod mount. I would definitely, recommend it if you can get it for a good price. I think with the recent news of the Holga factory closing down, it might be harder to find this for something reasonable. When I got mine a couple months ago, it was a little cheaper. Now it's a little more expensive. But if you're looking to get started in pinhole photography, I think this is a great option. If you haven't tried pinhole photography, I would definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun, do something different, and make some really different images. Well, that's it. This is my first YouTube photography video. I hope you liked it. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave them. I would love to do more of these, so if there's anything else you want to see, let me know. Probably focusing on film photography, but maybe photography in general. And please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more. Anyway, thanks a lot, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.